Number one, he shows that there was already an existence. You know what God said? He said, woe to he that said, who created God? If I was opportune to ask question, I would have asked God, who is your father, who is your mother? But you know what God said? God has already placed a curse. He said, woe to the person who said, who created me? God cannot be created because God is life himself. Life was not created. Life is self-existing. So the creator was already he had lived before the heavens and the earth. His life is health. And the only way Moses was to introduce him to the world, to the earth, which is cosmos, he was to introduce him as G-O-D. Even Moses that introduced him as G-O-D did not know what G-O-D means. But what does the G-O-D mean? It means life eternal. It means life that does not have an ending. It means infinite. It means a revelation that has no ending. How man has talked about the things God has done. How man has talked about the finances. How man has talked about how he opened blind eyes. How man has talked about how the short leg grew. But nobody has ever talked about God, because no one has actually have encounter with God. You couldn't describe the God. Moses never saw God. He told Moses, anyone that sees me dies. After God created and saw what he created, he saw darkness. God couldn't have created something that see darkness. It already showed there was already a world that was in existence, and the world that was already in existence was already corrupted. Because we were told in Revelation chapter 12, if you read from 6 to 11, the Bible said there was war in heaven. As the Bible said, Michael and his angel fought against the dragon, that great dragon called Satan and what? The devil. And he fell, and he came to make that war on earth. So there was already a war. There was already a war. There was already a war. But now look at this. Look at this. Catch this. Verse 2 of it. Please go back. The earth is formless, now there is darkness. God was incubating. God started imagining. Look at this. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. Now guess what God said? The next verse. And God said, let there be light. God is introducing himself. The first time God was to make introduction to the earth, God said, let there be light. God did not say, let there be money. Why? Because light is creation. Jesus Christ. You were taught in biology, is it photosynthesis you call it? What is photo? Photo means light. So that anything that must come to life must come through light. Oh Jesus, are you catching this? John 1:4, the Bible said in him was life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth what? In darkness, and darkness could not what? Comprehend it. God is about to do introduction. God said, let there be light. In other words, God only showed his character and his true nature on earth. Was there light? And there was light. But where did this light come from? We were told that God was incubating. God was picturing. What was God picturing? And where did God picture? God was picturing in his mind. What God did, that is, before you came into existence, God knew you were going to come, because everything was in the mind of God. The earth was in God, Emmanuel was in God, Pastor Chris was in God. Can I talk to somebody? Hope was in God. But where was everything? Every data, precision, everything that you ever think about, they were in God. The earth was for it, yet God was not for it, because God was God, and God is light, and God is the creator. And for creation to take place, there must be lights. The reason why you can't fight against God, because it's light. You can't comprehend God, you can't understand him, you can't explain him. Do you understand?